Welcome back to the Tip of the Ice-Burgh podcast, brought to you as always by the Hockey Podcast Network. We just finished talking about, of course, the Penguins defeating the Devils and going 3-0 on their road trip to start the post-All-Star break schedule. They're currently sitting in first place in the Metropolitan Division. Hopes are high, spirits are up in the city of Pittsburgh. And now let's talk about impending doom with the contract situation with Bryan Rust. His contract expires at the end of this season. That will be the end of a 4-year, $3.5 million per year contract that was signed back in the 2018 offseason. In my opinion, one of, if not the best deal ever signed by general manager Jim Rutherford. The value that he has gotten out of that contract. I mean, there's obviously the top level of contracts and being able to get money for the dollar's worth, or production for the dollar's worth. And it's always going to go to Nathan MacKinnon right now. But yes, Bryan Rust has to be in the top 5 in like points per dollar or whatever it is. Because in that span, regular season wise, at least 210 games played on this contract, 84 goals, 170 points, and 15 game-winning goals. And obviously, if you go back before that contract, he has a history of postseason success. He's a 2-time Cup winner. He's Mr. Game 7 from 2016. So all this to say, and that's not even getting into where he's at right now and what he's doing this season right now. All this to say is he's going to command a pretty penny come the offseason.
Oh, it's going to be a shiny one.
Oh, yeah.
You say those numbers, and it's so interesting to think about. He's hit those highs and eclipsed those numbers, all while battling inconsistency and injury. Mm-hmm. And I think the inconsistency is the big one for me because it does come in flashes. We remember when he didn't score until a hat trick in Chicago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bryan Rust, it's an experience. We thought the Mike Matheson experience was a thing. The Bryan Rust experience is just as interesting, but at least a little more successful and a little more fun to watch. But boy, oh boy, what do we do with the contract coming up? Because let us remember, we have a lot of contracts up, and we already signed one of them for a couple more years in Jeff Carter. You want a quick impromptu UFA only, or I guess we could throw RFAs in there, a quick impromptu 3Ms, because that's where you're going to have to figure out what to do. Is what you're doing with everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. I have an idea down here of what I would do to try to make space for him.
I can just like shoot out the names and you tell me, and I'll give a quick agreement or not. It doesn't have to be the whole segment.
Cool. We'll go through it real quick.
Because we know the Malkin one's a must.
Must sign, yes.
We have already established that one. We skip Russ for now. Kapanen, we just figure out a way to get rid of it.
Let him go.
Sorry. Where are we at here? The Aston Reese one. We know it'll be a low number, so I think we can hold on to it.
Maybe sign, depending on what it's coming in as. Yeah, maybe sign.
It's already close to 2, so. RFA, Danton Heinen.
Must sign.
Thoughts? Okay, yeah, I was like, what are our thoughts on Heinen? Because I'm indifferent, really.
I think you must sign him. I think he's proven that he could be a very valuable bottom 6 guy, and if need be, he can play on the top 6. But, I mean, it comes down to, if you can sign them both, do it. But if it comes down to Heinen or Rodriguez, that's a tough call. I'm taking Heinen.
Ooh, all right, yeah, because Rodriguez is next. At least he's a UFA. Heinen, we have the bonus of a RFA that I flipped that. Yeah,
we have negotiating rights earlier.
Yes. Brian Boyle, I think we just let go into the night.
Yeah, let him go.
Career.
Let him go, and if you need him, put up the bat signal.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit that professional tryout offer one more time.
Yeah.
And then Dom Simone, who UFA finally.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Move on. Goodbye.
So there's some money there, and that's just the forwards, not getting into Crystal Tang, who is a must, and
maybe
Drew Weedle, who is a
must.
We'll
get into that in a different episode.
Hold up, forgot to check the injuries. Louis Domingue.
Yeah.
Maybe. Ricola, I'm assuming, is walking. Oh, Zucker we have for another year.
Yeah.
Drew O'Connor and RFA we keep around. Okay. And DeSmith. So, yeah,
maybe.
When you figure out what to do with all that.
There's a lot of maybes at this point of the season.
Yeah. Well, that's why it was impromptu, just real quick. When you go through all that and you realize how many people you want to try and bring back.
Yeah.
Bryan Rust at least looks a little easier, and you can cover his money with maybe the Kasperi-Kapanen money because it's a very similar contract.
Mm-hmm.
That is if you don't recoup assets for a trade for Kapanen and you just let him walk.
Yeah.
It's a matter of what happens with everyone else, I would say, when it comes to Bryan Rust, because, again, I was preaching earlier this season of it might be it and we should just accept it. And now he's gone and done this. And because of that, I will superstitiously continue to badmouth Bryan Rust so we can keep getting these numbers.
Mhm.
That being said, I don't know. It's really hard because, God damn it, is he playing phenomenally right now?
Yeah. I mean, I had the same thought process as you throughout this entire season. Up to this point, my thought process was, yeah, he's just going to be too expensive to sign, in my opinion. He's
It,
just going to
it,
be, you're not going to be able to bring everybody back. And he's probably the guy that's going to get paid out high enough that you're not going to be able to make that deal happen. But at this point, things can change, obviously, the ebbs and flows of a season. But to me, it doesn't matter at this point. You really want to wait until the year's over. You really want to wait until he gets another playoff run on him because
yep.
we know that he can perform in the playoffs. He does that. That starts adding, oh, I can add another 500,000 a year. Maybe I could add another million a year. And that number's already high and ridiculous. So if it goes any higher, it's just going to make it that much harder. So honestly, if you could sign him now, that'd be perfect. I mean, I know you're still signing high, but it can only, like, his value can still go up. And honestly, I kind of expect it to. I mean, looking at his numbers on the season, 27 games played, 17 goals, 37 points. But it gets better because since January 1st of 2022, he's played 15 games. He has 15 goals, and he has scored 28 points. Per a website that I found that I absolutely love called Quant Hockey, Rust is leading the NHL in points since January 1st. 2 points ahead of Sidney Crosby, who's in second. Gensel and Letang are also in the top 10. So the Pittsburgh Penguins, all that to say, the top tier of the Pittsburgh Penguins has been getting it done in the calendar year of 2022. But Bryan Rust is leading the way.
Oh, we need this TV money to hit so bad.
That $1 million bump in the salary cap is just, that's Bryan Rust money at this point.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. It'll help.
I'm banking on maybe we still see one more short bout of inconsistency out of Rust this year, and maybe that lowers his number just because we've seen it hit him so often in this career. But again, it never seems to come, and it has not approached yet. He keeps acquiring these empty net points, and what is an agent going to say? I didn't notice those were empty net points. I'm looking at a big number here.
Yeah, I can't see you through the 2 rings that I'm holding up on my fist.
Yeah, so that'll be wild and interesting. At what point does it just become, here's a blank check, put in a number?
You can see, you could do that if you had Malkin and Letang signed already.
Exactly.
You just can't just do that. But I mean, the way I look at this deal, you also have to think of, and from the Penguin side of things and Ron Hextall side of things, he's going to say, well, you're turning 30 in May. So by the time you sign this contract, or by the time it actually takes effect, you're going to be in your 30s, which is the tail end, supposedly the tail end of your prime. Sidney Crosby is spitting that in the face. But that means Bryan Rust is also going to be looking for his cash out deal. He's going to want, hey, this is the deal that I'm going to make the most money on in my career. I took a low number. Plan. Exactly. I took a low number on my last contract for the last 4 years, and I've performed at the best that I've ever performed in my life on a low ball contract for the team. We haven't won in that. But the last thing he's going to say is, I want $7 to $8 million. I am worth more to your team than William Nylander is to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And guess what? Nylander got $7 million. So yeah, Bryan Rust, $7 to $8 million. Obviously, you have his 3.5. It's like, okay, cool. So we only need to make up $3.5 to $4.5 million. Kapanen, don't qualify him. There's $3.2 million right there. You hope and pray then that one of or both of Malkin or Letang say, I'll take a pay cut to stay here, keep the band together, and keep us competitive. Malkin is already, the reports have already came out that Malkin might take a slight pay cut. Letang does not want one. That's what the reports say of right now. Letang feels like he's similar to Rust, has been playing on a low contract for what he's done for the team. And honestly, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But at this point in your career, I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, do I think Letang deserves that money? I think he has earned it with his play since 2016. Yes, I do. But do I think that he can get that money and the Penguins can stay competitive? That's a bigger question. And I don't know if that's going to happen. And even more directly, is he going to be able to get his money and keep Bryan Rust in black and gold? I don't know. I don't think so. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's going to be such an interesting offseason. So the signings will break down into priority 1, priority 2, and I think it goes Malkin, Letang 1, 2.
Honestly,
who's going to be our number 1 defenseman? Who will be our number 1 defenseman? Letang is priority number 2 for me because who are we going to go get?
Yeah,
who's up?
I think what I'm thinking of is not priority because of where he's at. I think I do agree with that. Letang has to be number 2. But I think the one thing that I thought about in the past couple of weeks is I'm okay with the thought of Letang not being on the team, but that's if somebody is there in his spot. I'm okay with him
Exactly.
not finishing his career there. After I listened to Agent Provocateur with Marc-Andre Fleury, I was like, you know what? If Fleury's not going to finish as a Penguin, why do I care about Letang so much? But
Yes.
realistically, positionally and team-wise, they need Letang. So I can't argue that point.
Yeah. And plus, we understand that it is a business.
It
The
is.
odds of all three of Malkin, Letang, and Crosby beginning and finishing their careers in Pittsburgh is highly unlikely. Again, like I mentioned earlier, Wayne Gretzky went to LA. There may have been reasons and stuff behind it, but Wayne Gretzky got traded. Anything is possible.
Mhm.
I will say there is one beacon of hope for all of this working out for the entire team, that Sidney Crosby has somehow implemented this thought process of you take a lower deal to have success on the ice.
Mhm.
If I can remember, I'm pretty sure Letang said this, like whenever they were all trying to work out their first contracts, they all kind of came to an agreement of we'll take a lower-ish number.
Mhm.
Now that Letang is saying he would like the same amount or a pay raise, maybe that's out the door a little because the culture is a little different these days because the salary cap is higher than it was in 20 whatever they signed.
Mhm.
And we're now seeing that Crosby, regardless of his age, is making far under what he should be. Malkin maybe making about the right number given his career trajectory recently. Letang making under what he should be. At what point do you say, though, like, Sid, we love that you've had that idea. We've had our success of 3 cups now. We have not missed the playoffs since we got here. At what point do we go, we love the culture, but guess what? We need our retirement funds.
Yeah. I think there is a certain level of we've won already. It'd be
Yep.
nice to win again, but I also need to look out for my own.
Yep. And you cannot blame anybody for that.
Yeah.
You cannot blame anybody for taking their bag,
Yeah.
especially
And
if they've already won.
if this was the MLB, they'd all be paid, and this wouldn't be a question. Well, not
Yeah, that too.
not if you're the Pirates, but if you're normally a good team in the MLB, this wouldn't be a question.
Exactly. So I like the idea that we can at least still fall back on the hope and the prayer that Sid is still there running this culture of we take the slight pay cut, we still get paid, we still get our money, we still get our dues, but we take it as the team-friendly deals that help the team succeed.
Mhm.
I think that was one thing. I think it was Letang himself that mentioned that in some interview or something. I forget what it was for, but I could swear I heard Letang talk about that before. Like Sid is the one that said we take team-friendly deals so we can build around us and have success.
Mhm.
Now all that has to do is hold up. I don't
Yeah.
know if it will at this point because it is 2022. They've had
Mhm.
their success, and the league is overpaying for guys.
Yeah.
You know, if Letang gets an offer from someone, it's here's 12 million. We'll give you the Erik Karlsson deal,
Oh,
11 million.
no.
Oh, but you couldn't blame him if he went
Yeah.
he's first plane out. I wouldn't blame him one bit.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing that goes against the Penguins before we move on to this. Trying to re-sign Bryan Rust and Chris Letang and Evgeny Malkin. Next year, Jack Johnson's buyout will count against $1.9 million against the cap, the highest number in the buyout structure. Of course, this year he's counting 1.1 against it, so that's an $800,000 raise in the space that he's going to be taking, which accounts for an entire league min deal. So that does not help either.
Oh man, yep, that's brutal. I forgot.
But
all
after that,
about
it
the
goes down to
buyout.
900,000. You get another $1 million. So it's basically,
Well, yeah, but guess what? Everybody's up this year, not next year.
yeah, it's going to be tight next year. That's basically what that says. That's just making a tough situation even tougher. But let's get out of contract talk because I know sometimes we can talk until we're blue in the face about contracts because that for some reason that's something that we key in on here at the tip of the iceberg. So if you need good off-season content, we have you covered.